When contemplating how to follow up my series on the primary male archetypes based on the book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, I began searching for a companion piece that would explain the feminine archetypes in a way I could understand. I read several great books that will all be mentioned in the description, but the primary source that I will be using for my video essays on the feminine archetypes is Goddess in Every Woman by Jean Shinoda Bolen. Although the book discusses many archetypes, I have decided to narrow my focus onto 4 primary archetypes. These are in no way the definitive 4 primary feminine archetypes, as I described the male archetypes. There are just 4 archetypes that jumped out at me while I was doing my research. And I caution that I do take some artistic license to find how these archetypes relate to modern storytelling and pop culture. Dr. Bolen's book centers on her experiences as a psychiatrist, recognizing that women tend to follow certain patterns that relate to specific archetypes throughout their life experience and in their decision-making. Examples of these archetypes can be found in reflections of humans' art and mythology from around the world. The feminine archetypes I will be examining in this series, as in Dr. Bolen's book, are named for Greek goddesses, which provide a rich and contextual mythology related to feminine storytelling. Today we will be discussing the feminine archetype of Artemis. Artemis was the goddess of the moon and the wilderness. Artemis, as all women do, have a deep connection to nature, as opposed to her twin brother Apollo, god of the sun and civilization. Artemis was a great hunter. She was often depicted carrying a torch to light her way, bringing light to dark places. As many religions tend to have a fatherly male figure as the head representation of a centralized god and father figure, many religions and cultures symbolize the earth and the environment as a feminine, or even a mother, since the earth is home to our creation.
Mother, where do you live? In the sky, the clouds, the sea.
The Romans shared a common pantheon of gods with the Greeks. However, to the Romans, Artemis was known as Diana! As a child, the Artemis is a tomboy who does not play along with the norms of traditional gender roles. She would be more interested in sports or the outdoors than cooking or playing with dolls. The young Artemis is likely to have a strong affinity for horses that goes along with her free-spirited will and love of nature. The adult Artemis, because she defies stereotypes, is strong-willed and determined not to be put in a box, or to be subjugated by anyone's expectations.
Many kindnesses, but I intend to make my own way in the world.
Oh, well, no one makes their own way. Not really. Least of all a woman. You'll need to marry well.
But you are not married, Aunt March.
Well, that's because I'm rich.
She does not allow others to tell her what she is supposed to like and enjoy. She does not respect boundaries that she has put in. Because of this, the Artemis will butt heads with dominant characters, particularly a dominant mother, father, or any authority figure that will hold the Artemis back from her true calling.
Sometimes, who we wish we were, what we wish we could do, it's just not meant to be.
Worth state tuition, Christine.
My name is Ladybird.
Well, actually, it's not, and it's ridiculous.
Call me
because your name
Ladybird
is
like
Christine.
you said you would.
You should just go to City College. You know, with your work ethic, just go to City College and then to jail, and then back to City College, and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up and not expect everybody to do everything.
As a result, the Artemis is the champion of equality. Knowing adversity, Artemis will be the first to call out society's mistreatment of others.
You should not encourage him.
You should not doubt him.
I do not doubt his heart. Only the reach of his arm.
Why should Merry be left behind? He has as much cause to go to war as you. Why can he not fight for those he loves?
Artemis is likely to have strong bonds with her friends, treating women as close sisters. This sisterhood is important to Artemis, that values equality and the ability to choose the life one leads. In the male archetypes, only the centralized king had characteristics of being a father. In my research, I have found that in the female psyche, it seems that the role of the mother is not a central archetype similar to the father archetype, but rather the mother is a characteristic within separate feminine archetypes. This does not say that all women are drawn to be mothers or that all women cannot fully achieve a centered maturity or a fullness without becoming a mother. No, quite the contrary. What I'm trying to say is that you cannot divide out the mother from any one archetype. You cannot say that the Artemis does not have motherly aspects.
We're into battle.
They don't,
Oh, baby.
No babies. No babies. That one's not made out of clay.
Each archetype that I will discuss has a particular relationship to being a mother, and each has their own characteristics for interacting with their partner and their child. The goddess Artemis is known to be the protector of mothers, having protected her own mother from the rage of the goddess Hera, who was angered that she had an affair with her husband Zeus. The archetypal Artemis takes on motherhood as she takes on any challenge. She fully embraces the burdens and steps up to the responsibility. Artemis sees motherhood not as a burden but as a challenge.
Okay, Margie?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just morning sickness. Well, that passed.
Yeah?
She may feel uncomfortable in pregnancy, since it will put her in an otherwise compromised state, since Artemis values her physical abilities. The Artemis is a mother that does not allow her pregnancy to stop her from enjoying the things in life that she likes to do, just as she does not allow others to tell her what she should do. Artemis likewise takes on the act of raising children as a task to accomplish and a challenge to achieve as well. Artemis teaches her children to be self-reliant and does not coddle them. Artemis is loving and caring, but only to a point. She admires the spirit of children enough to know that they need their own space.
And who delivers these conscriptions?
I don't suppose I could be conscripted. Could I?
Oh, yes, that's a wonderful idea. Yes, I give my full permission for you to send this 10-year-old child into war. Or someone get this kid a gun.
And I'd be more than happy to fight in the front.
Get in line, kid.
Okay, here's the conscriptions, and here is a gun.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Some could mistake an Artemis for being closely associated with her Animus. As I discussed in my video on the male archetypes, Carl Jung proposed that deep within our subconscious is buried the traits and characteristics of the masculine and feminine. Depending upon which you strongly identify with, the other will be repressed there in your unconscious. Therefore, an individual that strongly identifies with the feminine will have masculine archetypes within their subconscious. The individual has access to these archetypes to draw on them as needed. And while it might be the case, it would be wrong to assume that all the traits were masculine. For the Artemis might need to integrate with her male peers to enjoy activities that she likes, such as sports or soldiering.
Hey, Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Oh, Vasquez.
But she does so on her own terms. She does not act like a man because she wants to be a man. She acts like a man to fit into a masculine world, but she does not abandon her feminine power.
I'm both frightened and aroused.
An Artemis will treat her male peers in a brotherly sort of way.
Maybe you're better off without me, yeah?
No, Charlie. Who will sing for us?
She is competitive with them, but does not seek their approval. The goddess Artemis, known as a virgin goddess, never married. She was allowed by Zeus to choose her own hand in marriage, if at all.
I am Merida, firstborn descendant of Clan Dunbroch, and I'll be shooting for my own hand. What are you doing?
If the Artemis were to choose a male partner, it would likely be a peer that shares a common interest, like a coworker. Their relationship would be as equals. The Artemis bows to no one and does not seek the approval of the patriarchy or the matriarchy. An Artemis can be strongly related to the masculine archetype of the warrior and may even draw on that form of her animus, but it is wrong to assume that all of her power comes from there. Let's not forget how strong-willed the Artemiss archetype is. And remember that the warrior in the masculine archetypes is the most dangerous and unwielding of all archetypes. The warrior should only be activated to achieve the ends of the other masculine archetypes, and that the warrior cedes his authority to a dominant archetype. Thus, the warrior within the Artemis is subservient to the will of the goddess Artemis. Unlike the warrior, Artemis only fights for her freedom and to protect the weak.
For anyone to get killed. He threatened to kill my family.
Well, I have family too. Okay, people that I need to protect.
What about them? Who protects them?
All people cast shadows when held up to the light. Artemis is no different. The shadow that Artemis casts is the result of her very own light that she brings to dark places. The shadow of an archetype is divided by two poles, a positive one and a negative one. In the positive or the active form of the shadow, the Artemis can be so caught up in fighting for equality or for her own right to be herself that it consumes her, and she spends more time fighting with others than enjoying the aspects of life that she's fighting for. The fight can even lead to the destruction of the very thing that she was trying to protect. In her fight for equality, she can possibly tarnish the achievements and sacrifices of the sisterhood that supports her, the very women that she swore to protect, and those that support her pursuits of freedom.
Hey, Kit! Blow it out your rear end. I am so sick of being blamed for everything that's bothering you. I got you into this league, goddammit! I got her into the league. I didn't even want
In fighting against the patriarchy, she may find that she is also toppling the matriarchy that has been held together by the women who came before her.
I'll never be like you. Stop that! I'd rather die than be like you!
As stated, the female acting in the archetype of the Artemis values her male partners as equals in a relationship. In mythology, the goddess Artemis had a great love affair with the hunter Orion. Her brother Apollo was jealous of the bond that these two shared and tricked her sister by challenging her to fire an arrow at a distant object floating out in the sea. Artemis, always ready to prove herself capable of any challenge, fired a shot and struck the object. The object was Orion, swimming in the sea. Artemis was so caught up in her self-confidence that it led to the death of her only love. On the negative pole of Artemis's shadow, we find an Artemis lost in the woods. She enjoys spending so much time with herself that she neglects her partner, her family, her friends, and her children.
You're much too lonely here, Joe. Wouldn't you like to go back to New York? What about your friend, Friedrich? Wasn't that his name?
Nope. I ruined our friendship with my temper, just as I ruin everything. I'm sure I'll never see him again.
I doubt that a sincere friend would be deterred.
An Artemis so caught up in the things she enjoys, she does not notice that the people around her hardly know her. It's important to remember that these archetypes are only one of many aspects of a woman's psyche. No person is wholly one archetype. Artemis can be only one of many aspects of a woman's psyche. As I mentioned in my essays on the male archetypes, imagine all these archetypes sitting around a boardroom and discussing the life of a person. The Artemis within us is the feminine part of nature that enjoys the small moments of existence that are otherwise lost to the slow progression of time. Midday walks, late-night breezes. An Artemis's closeness to nature fills her with empathy and compassion. The goddess Artemis is known to bring care and comfort to the sick, injured, and dying.
We'll all be together soon, all right? We can't stop God's will. Well, God hasn't met my will yet. What Joe wills shall be done.
This closeness to life and death can lead the Artemis down into the negative pole of her shadow. A person aligning with this archetype can climb out of this depression by setting goals. An Artemis needs something to aim her energy towards. Because of this, she is a natural athlete and can find working to pursue a personal goal enriching and rewarding. In doing this research, I was struck by just how accurately the archetype of Artemis describes the very woman who I have shared the last 15 years of my life with. It is inspiring that even a lonely, humble man like me can be blessed by the presence of a goddess. This has been a production of Minimum Effort Media. There are video essays on this channel on the first of every month. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. Also, perhaps share it with somebody who might enjoy the content as well. I would appreciate it. Thank you for watching.